Welcome to day 7 of our 40 days through the Gospel of John. We're still in John 3, and I want to look at the most famous verse in the Bible, John 3:16. It says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life." This verse has been put on boards in football matches, and I've seen it on railway bridges, and it's just quoted around, this John 3:16, because it's a verse that encapsulates everything about why Jesus came. It's true that the whole of the Bible points to Jesus. The whole of the Bible points to Jesus, the Old Testament and the New Testament. Every book is pointing to Jesus. And it's also true that in John's Gospel, it's not just about Jesus, but John is pointing towards the pinnacle of what Jesus did, which was dying on a cross for us. And it's hidden in this verse in the word "so." For God so loved the world. Often when we read that and hear that, we insert another word. It's almost like, for God God loved the world so much. We hear it in that way, like there's so much love that's why. But that's not what he means if you read the verse before it and the verse after it. So read 14, let's say 14 to 17. It says this: "For just as Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness, so the Son of Man must be lifted up, that everyone who believes may have eternal life. For God so loved the world." He loved the world in that way. He so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son. "Whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him." John's actually, or Jesus, as John's quoting Jesus, is referring back to a story of Moses back in the Old Testament, when God used Moses to help bring healing and deliverance and salvation for the people. And in that story back then, God asked Moses to put a snake, a gold snake, on a pole. And as he lifted that up, and as the Israelites looked to this pole with a snake on it, they were healed. They were saved. That's why he says, as Moses lifted up the snake, so the Son of Man must be lifted up. Even here in the chapter 3 of John, John and Jesus are pointing us towards the fact that there's a cross coming. The whole of this book is leading to a cross. That's why we're reading John's book, the Gospel of John, at Easter time, because we are heading towards Easter. We're heading towards a cross. And you'll find in the book of John that a good half of the book is all focused around the story of the cross, leading to the cross, all the days leading up to the cross. And so I suppose the challenge for us is, how do we live our life with our eyes on the cross? The cross that speaks so many different things. It speaks salvation for us. That we look to that and go, Jesus, you paid the price for everything I ever did wrong. You healed me, you delivered me, you set me free. But also it's a place we look and say, the one I'm following is one who laid his life down for others. And how do I lay my life down? So our encouragement is to see that God didn't send his Son into the world to condemn them, but to save the world through him. And I wonder how God might want to use you to be that instrument, to be that voice, to be that person that shows the world that God is not coming to condemn them, but he wants to save them through his Son Jesus and the work he did on the cross.